Welcome to the Fantasy Back Porch Hour. We are Little D.
Howdy, howdy.
Hakuna Matata brother.
I mean, no worries.
That's right. Sleeves, the fantasy alchemist, turns fantasy lead into fantasy gold.
I do.
I don't know how, but
When I'm
he
allowed
does.
to.
Whatever. I am Bear. This is Outlaw. Let's do it.
Well, tonight we're going to go over our Week 1 fantasy likes and dislikes and project our Week 2 fantasy likes and dislikes. Now, last week, overall, as a whole, we were 15 out of 24 people we were correct on whether like or dislike.
That's pretty decent.
Yeah, not bad odds at all.
That's pretty
That's
damn
really
good.
good.
Yeah, my bold projections kind of brought our average down a little bit, but
They did a little bit.
I'm going to make up for it.
One just you.
But that's okay. You know, that's part of being the fantasy like and dislike. I mean, when you like somebody, you're picking somebody that's not a number one.
Right.
Or
Just
number
because
two.
I dislike them doesn't mean that you don't start them.
Right. So this week, why don't we start with Outlaw, who did kind of bring down our average, but
I did.
again, very bold.
I did.
Who was your like for Week 2?
Week 2, I know that Julian Edelman had a big game last week, and playing against the Jets, especially with Danny Amendola being questionable this week, I think you can look to Julian Edelman to have another repeat performance of that, because Tom Brady's going to be looking at Kemple Tompkins, and he's going to be looking for Julian Edelman again. Their tight end position is a wasteland in New England right now. Zach Sutton only had one target last week,
Which turned into an interception.
Almost, yeah, and he bobbled it, and it was absolutely useless.
Yep. And it's a short week, and
Yeah.
who's better at a short week than the Patriots?
Nobody.
Yeah,
Exactly.
probably nobody.
Nobody. So I look for Edelman to have a repeat performance. I like Edelman this week. I think I have faith in him
Pterodactyl
again.
moth.
It is a pterodactyl.
No, it's not big enough.
Okay, what's it's caught.
All
right.
Yeah, you can't catch a pterodactyl.
So Bear,
It escaped.
I let him go.
You see,
I didn't.
we're kind to animals here.
So Bear,
Yes,
who's your like this week?
Jared Cook, tight
Love
end.
Jared Cook.
I know, St. Louis Rams.
Yeah.
Against Atlanta, after, God, what I thought Atlanta was going to do last week, and they did not. But, oh well. I think that Jared Cook, as he did last week, I think he's going to perform this week as well as he did last week, and he should be, if he's not drafted in your league, I think you need to go pick him up.
Yeah,
Definitely.
He
He definitely, he's a pickup. He's in the top 5 of overall pickups.
Yeah.
this
Tight
week,
end.
without doubt.
The tight end position is not as much of a wasteland as we had originally projected it to be this year. I think I'm not saying that it's going to be a repeat of 2011,
No.
but it as of week 1, a lot of targets for tight ends, a lot of yards for tight ends, a lot of touchdowns.
Not only
It's
that-
already looking good for him.
Bradford doesn't have a lot of wide receiver options.
Right.
And he doesn't have a lot of running back options. And Jared Cook I think he's going to be able to get open.
Plus-
He's a big guy, and he can do it.
Plus, he's with the coach who originally drafted him.
Right.
So he already has a
that's
lot of
what-
love coming from Jeff Fisher. He's going to get a lot of looks, like he did last week.
I think
And
so, too. That's
since
why he's my like.
That's all the reasons why I drafted him. I hope it continues.
I'm
Now, I don't
sure
see
you do.
every week going to be 30 points like he put up this
Well,
week.
no.
I hope it
But
continues.
I don't
That's-
see another
that's
tight end
for
thing every
everybody,
day the
though.
rest of the season.
No, that might happen.
that's
but
for every player, though.
There's a lot of tight ends in a lot of games this year.
Yeah.
But it's not the norm.
Well,
That's what I was getting
Yeah.
at.
there's at least one in every game.
Right. Now, my like this week,
Yes.
I'm going, again, back-to-back weeks
Uh-oh.
with
Scary
Darren
now.
McFadden. Now, Darren McFadden had a pretty decent week. Definitely worthy of a start last week.
Against a weak Colts defense.
Yes. And then this week, he's playing against even weaker defense in Jacksonville
Oh,
at
my
home.
God.
You have to start Darren McFadden. Yeah, to me, you start him
I
until
know.
he gets hurt. I mean,
I agree. It might be this week, but play him until he gets
it
hurt.
might be this week, but he's playing against Jacksonville at home. You got to start McFadden.
Yeah.
Little D?
For a lot of the same reasons as Bear, like Sam Bradford,
Yeah.
St. Louis against Atlanta. I'd say he's not a definite starter in a fantasy league.
No.
I mean, not a definite starter by any means.
It's a matchup.
Yes.
But throwing against Atlanta's defense, I mean, their defense is not got a lot of depth
No.
at all.
No.
At all.
No, and if you find yourself in a deeper league, then Bradford could be a very good pickup this week.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Again, he's not your normal number one,
Mhm.
but if your number
Should
one
be.
has a really bad matchup, then this might
I
be
think
the week.
Sam Bradford is definitely a good
This
pickup
might be
this
the week
week.
to
This
start
week.
Yeah, this week.
So those were our likes.
Yeah.
Outlaw, what's your dislike this week?
Well, I'm going to go with Jerome Simpson. Even though he's not a number one fantasy starter, here's one thing. He put up 140 yards last week. He had a phenomenal game last week, and I think that's going to be a fluke. I don't see Jerome Simpson having a repeat because, especially playing against Chicago, they're going to be all over him.
Yep.
Like they tried to be on A.J. Green, except for here's the thing. Simpson's not the number one wide receiver.
Exactly. And he's no A.J. Green.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, and A.J. Green was the only person really to put up points against Chicago.
Right.
And not only that, Dalton is a way better quarterback than Christian Ponder.
Oh, by far.
Because I'm expecting, honestly, by week, I'm going to go 5, Castle might be the starting quarterback in Minnesota.
Maybe. As
I
long
don't
as
know.
Ponder doesn't turn it over, he's safe.
Yeah, Castle likes to turn the ball over.
Ponder's main job is to hand it to Adrian Peterson.
Right.
Castle's going to do that just as well.
Well, that maybe.
But that's not what we're talking
Yeah,
about
but
now.
Castle can drop the ball a lot.
Okay,
So, Bear, who's your dislike this week?
DeMarco Murray. Last week, to me, aberration.
Yeah.
I believe we said this previously when we were doing our, before the week started, drafting. DeMarco Murray, not somebody you count every week. Last week, aberration. Not going to happen. He's playing it. Kansas City had 6 Pro Bowlers last year on defense. Yeah, I know their defense, if you look at the statistics, they gave up more passes over 25 yards, more runs, all this stuff. Okay, but you know what? Sorry, not going to happen. DeMarco Murray is not going to replicate what he did this week. Just not going to happen.
I can see that. I mean, like you said, Kansas City has a good defense.
Yeah, not going to happen. I'm sorry.
And-
Murray is not. And he's not only that. DeMarco Murray to me is not that good of a running back. He should, if he's a starting running back on your team, find another team. Go to the fence. And I know Lamar Miller didn't have a good week, but hey, go to the fence.
Now, Lamar Miller's going to bounce back, though.
He will, especially this week going against the Colts. I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
The
Viable
Browns, the
flex.
Browns have a stout run defense, and Brian Hartline just had such a phenomenal game. They were just throwing the ball so much, anyways.
Well, and the Browns knew that with Hayden, Mike Wallace pretty much taking
Right.
the
Oh, yeah.
picture.
Yeah,
So they're going to put the ball in Tannehill's hands.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
The Colts aren't the same defense that
No.
the Browns have.
No. I
Charles Clay.
Yeah, huge.
yeah.
If you would have,
If you had Lamar Miller drafted
He
in
was on no one's
the
team.
middle rounds like I did,
No.
then just looking at that one bad game like that, I don't put too much into
Yeah,
that.
don't
Don't read too
panic.
much. Don't
Yeah.
panic. Don't
No.
bench him in favor of.
And I think
Yeah.
that can be said for a lot of the backs this week. I mean, a lot of second-string players got a lot of points for a lot of fantasy teams,
Yeah.
whereas a lot of starters did not.
Right.
But once again, I don't
That's
think
true.
that's
Again, it was week
No.
1. There's no need to panic.
Doug Martin didn't have a phenomenal week. Yes, he got a touchdown, and that was the only thing that was saving him on points.
I mean,
But other than
Foster
that,
had a
his
poor
stats
week.
were terrible.
Right,
Foster
White.
didn't put up. Arian Foster didn't put up big stats. You're not going to bench any of these players just because of a poor week 1 performance. And just
You
like I
shouldn't.
said about
You should
Jerome
not.
Simpson, you're not going to you can't start him in week
No.
2. You can't jump on him and think that he's going to be
No.
your big fantasy winner just because of a good week 1
Exactly.
performance. Because week one throws a lot of anomalies around.
Exactly. And there's plenty of other good free agents out there to pick up other than Jerome
Right.
Simpson.
Such as Julian Edelman.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
Or even Terrell Pryor, I think.
or Jordan Cameron.
Right.
Jordan Cameron.
Yeah. Now, my dislike this week,
Yeah.
we disliked him last week, which was a good call, and I'm going to stick with him probably the rest of the year, but I still dislike him as Ahmad Bradshaw.
Okay.
He's, again, just like last week, we chose Trent Richardson.
Yeah.
For the same reason I'm choosing Ahmad Bradshaw. He's playing the Dolphins.
Exactly.
You can't run on the Dolphins unless
You
your
can't
name
run.
is Arian Foster.
Here's the problem with Ahmad
Yeah.
Bradshaw. Even though he looked like a great play last week, but he only had 8 touches?
Yeah, not
Yeah.
very much. Ballard had more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And who could have seen that coming?
Yeah, well,
Nobody.
It wasn't expected to happen that way, and that's just how it went.
exactly.
Which is why Ahmad Bradshaw cannot be started this week
exactly.
in any
Should
format.
not be.
Now,
No.
now, I don't know if the Dolphins are going to win that game. It's going to be a tough game, especially because the Colts, the only way to beat the Dolphins is to throw the ball, and the Colts have Andrew Luck and Reggie Wayne. So I
And
see a
Dwight
lot.
Elton.
Yeah, I see a lot of passing game coming out,
And
out of
depth at the tight end
Indianapolis.
position.
Plus, with the Dolphins' rush defense and their ability to pass rush, there's going to be a lot of balls in the air.
There are.
Yeah.
Just
Little bit-
hopefully the
Hopefully they
secondary
land in
Dolphins
Dimitri Patterson's hands again.
can-
Yeah, right. Hopefully,
Okay,
Wade
again,
gets another 2.5
aberration.
sacks.
As much as I loved it, aberration.
But it was a good start last week. For
Oh
him.
God, it was awesome.
16 points.
Mm-hmm.
Little D, who's your dislike this week?
That's gonna be a big one.
All right.
Julius Thomas.
Oh,
At New York.
Another guy people are going to start freaking out about.
I really think this is a lot of the same reason Outlaw.
Wow, he's going to be a huge pickup for a
Yes,
bunch of people
a lot
this
of people
week
are gonna
that
pick
don't
him
know what
up.
the hell
And
they're
I
doing.
really think that he's just. I think I don't want to call it a fluke because he's going to perform.
Right.
He's just not going to perform at nearly
Not
the
on a
same
weekly
level as he
basis,
does.
no.
No,
Because
I don't think so either.
they've got so many other offensive weapons.
I mean,
They've
30
got
points out of a
Demarius-
tight end. That's
Out of a
Especially a
no-name
tight
tight
end.
end.
A tight
Right.
end that no one drafted?
yeah. And
Yeah,
everyone's
no.
going to jump, fight over him on the waiver wire. Let them.
The
Let
offensive
them.
weapons that the Denver has: Demarius Thomas, Wes Welker, Eric Decker. I mean, I could list off names on and on and on.
Oh, yeah.
And Julius Thomas isn't going to put up 30
Yeah,
points.
let them
Again.
fight over Julius Thomas
Yeah.
now, and then when he doesn't perform this week, let them drop him, and then you pick him up, and you wait until he has a favorable matchup.
Again, but look at Thomas. The
But
first half
don't
last
jump
week.
on it. Don't
Also,
jump and just
The
say,
second half?
Second half.
yeah. The
With
other
the
Thomas,
No.
the
It
other
didn't happen
Thomas took
for you.
off in the second half.
And I was
Yeah.
100% okay with that.
Well, yeah, he's on your
yeah,
team.
bet you
Exactly.
were.
So that was our week 2 fantasy likes and dislikes. So
Stay frosty, my friends.